Looks like we are all set here. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Engineering the Markets. My name is Jared, and it is November 17th, 2022. Happy Thursday, and we're going to look at a couple of small aspects of today's trade. I would argue that today's kind of a relatively light trading session for some of the catalysts that we have on deck. Doesn't mean that the market's not going to move, and there's kind of a reason why we can assume some of that volatility, but we'll talk through that setup along with the option trade ideas for zero DTE series. So since we haven't really looked at the SPX expected move this week, just kind of noting that the market has been fairly balanced at these levels. Remember, our expected move is approximately $99 or 99 points on the SPX. We haven't really hit either boundary, more of a rare occurrence, especially as of late. There's been a lot more movement throughout the week, and because we are gapping slightly lower, just keep in mind that lower bound of about 38.94 SPX, and we'll kind of talk about why that's important for today. So let's look at the SPY real quick and talk about what's been happening throughout the past couple of sessions. As you can see, I've drawn some regions of price activity that are important for the SPX and for the SPY. Reason being is anytime a market is balanced, usually this balance is defined by a price region that's being accepted by the current market participants. The fact that the market transacts through these regions for, let's say, a couple of days or even as long as a couple of weeks starts to build up this this idea that there's a lot of open interest in this area, a lot of risk relative to people being bullish or bearish at these levels. Now, from a technical stance, I would say this is a kind of bad area to be bullish, initiating new bullish positions, just because we're a bit high in the price. And most of our daily structure right now indicates that buying extensions has not really led to success in the short term. Usually the market has a much steeper drawdown potential from these levels, and that's what's establishing new bull sell buy swings. So channel structure a little bit odd in its construction, but ultimately more risky as a bull in the upper zones. When you look at the past couple of days, you start to understand that the definition of this region is often defined as a balance range. And what that means is the market's just been trading back and forth between certain key levels. Now, a lot of people will indicate and mark that this is important simply because it was an expansion attempt. Prior to this, there were very minor higher highs, but most of the time we were getting deep retracements. And usually this starts to form early in regards to the low end of trade. But as we're in a bullish uptrend, it's hard to tell where the last high is going to be. It's kind of like finding the top of any trend. It's often more about the risk definition at those levels, and you're often looking for counter trend structure to form. But as you can tell on this session, it's very important to note where the low happened to be, because this starts to define where the range actually exists. And usually when you see a failed expansion attempt like this, getting over a spike high and then even making it through a previous low, that defines ranges. especially on balance ranges. That's usually where all of the open interest is accumulated. Not necessarily bullish accumulation, but it's where everything is concentrated in a market. So the reason I think this is important is, like all ranges, whenever they break, you often want to be thinking about the potential of movement. And usually one of the easiest things you can do is think about, what if a range breaks bullish or bearish? How wide was that range? For this particular range, we're looking at a downside extension of approximately 388.8. Now, why is that important? Well, if it coincides with the SPX expected move levels, I would argue that that's a trade thesis that has been showing itself every single week. Markets often are testing these boundaries at the very least throughout the week. It's very rare that we don't test one side of that expected move boundary. So looking at this potential and also bringing up some volume profile study here, I would argue that this zone is dangerous for longs because we don't have a lot of participation here. The next real indication of support occurred on a very short time frame inside of the CPI rally. And as we start to go lower, it puts a lot of pressure on the bullish positions in this upper region. It's essentially a breakdown from the highs. So all that means is, because we're trying to expand lower, be thinking about the trade thesis around these levels. If the market looks anything like this today, and we do recover the range, then ultimately the final target on a range expansion is actually all the way back to the top. It's the same trade idea as what happened here, just on the opposite side. If we do back test, that alone is structured as a trade, but a back test could lead to further downside. So very important price level to kind of note is the swing low from Wednesday's or Tuesday's session. And then finally, if we continue to fade, those downside targets have been identified both through technical observation, volume profile, and to some degree, the SPX expected move, which I do believe drives a lot of short-term trade on the weekly time frame. So those are some trade ideas, mostly focused on the SPY, but remember, this can kind of affect most stocks, especially if it is a directional move. I would argue today might be a day to look for fade plays. Be careful of that back test if it does occur. And if you are trading something like the SPY directly, you do have a possible target to the downside. Okay, so shifting into some of the zero DTE option ideas. So remember, the SPY and the Qs are offering zero DTE series for every day of the week. So you essentially have a weekly option series every single day. And that allows for certain types of strategies to really shine in those types of environments. What are the characteristics that you want to take advantage of on short-term option series? Well, first things first, what characteristics are there? There's obviously price movement. So anything that has a delta or a gamma related edge, you're going to want to look for short-term option plays in a market that's directional and try to take advantage of the short-term gamma risk, which allows for those premiums to really expand quickly. What that means is oftentimes traders will look for the short-term series because a $1 directional move will equate to approximately, plus or minus 80 cents or $80 per contract on their puts and calls, usually at the money or slightly in the money. They get a lot of bang for the buck for every dollar of price movement. And that's very advantageous because, if you're looking at something like ATR, you want to essentially capture that price movement, but have the risk to reward make sense. If you compare a future series, let's say I go out just 13 days, for example, not only is the cost of the contract higher, but the actual exposure to things like gamma is much lower. So actually this is a $2, I need a $1 example. Let me see if I can find the next one. Okay. Yeah, so like from 390 to 391, this would be just an example from yesterday's pricing. You'll notice here, and honestly, the SPY's already hitting those targets. So unfortunately, the pre-market trade is showcasing what a balance range can do. But it's a good example nonetheless. Whenever you have a dollar move and you're in a much further time series, the gamma exposure is there, but it's not as extreme. So from 390 to 391, you might get some of that directional bias, and basically your premium will go up, but you're also spending more to engage with the trade. The premium itself is going to be higher. And from a percentage perspective, these contracts are going to gain much quicker, assuming you are on the right side of the trade. So there's this balance of pros and cons for directional traders to understand that in a short-term series, you're going to get a lot more directional exposure, whether it be a positive thing or a negative thing. It cuts both ways. But if you're in momentum or if you have a good trend, then you do want to be in the short-term series, because as a day trader, you don't really care. You're looking to close those out either end of session or once you hit some relative price targets that make sense for your thesis. So that's kind of the first part, is understanding that there is a directional notion inside of short-term series, but the exposure to it is very high. You're going to have the best exposure in the short-term series. Now, what would be a con of being directional in a short-term series? The most obvious negative that you can kind of think about is time. For one, these contracts are expiring very quickly in their time value. So when you're looking at contracts that are extrinsic, let's say you're looking to buy out of the money calls or puts, and you're still playing directional, but you're trying to capture a move about to happen. If the move takes time to set up, or you're a little early to the setup, or if the move doesn't happen at all, just understand that as you're holding those contracts, you're working against, time is working against you. You have the most theta exposure, not only at the money, which is the highest theta exposure you're going to experience, but as you go out in the out of the money contracts, most of the value itself is time. There really isn't anything intrinsically valuable about these contracts, especially as we only have one day for them to expire. So you have to be careful, especially when you're thinking directional. If you're stepping into out of the money contracts and the market doesn't really move quick enough and or doesn't go intrinsic with your contract, you might experience more premium decay even if your thesis is correct. Even if the market moves $1 or $2,
confirm. Can you guys hear me? Over on YouTube, just give us a second here. Jared lost sound. Okay, Jared, seems like it's something on your end. Try closing the browser and coming right back in. So just give us a second, guys. We're gonna see what's going on here. All right, excellent, excellent. And just to confirm, YouTube chat can hear us perfect. Okay, good. All right. Hopefully it's nothing too serious with Jared's mic or something. Yeah, BBM over YouTube. Yeah, he's restarting now. Looks like it's on his end. Could just be software or something. All right, Jared's back. Let's see if we can hear him. I can't hear you, Jared, if you're trying to talk. All right, guys. Looks like we might have to we'll switch here for now. So we'll get started a little bit early. I know Jared was midpoint. We'll let him try one more time. But he was midpoint on his presentation here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna switch over to my setup, and then we'll get started a little bit early. Then we'll figure out by tomorrow what happened there. So, just 1 second.
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up. I think I can cover one more topic before we shift over. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. All right. Let's do. Okay. And webcam. Okay. So sorry about that. Not sure what happened. So as I was mentioning before, being directional in short-term series has pros and cons. Time is your enemy, but you get some of the best directional bias when you are in a more momentum or trend-based scenario. You want the market to move quickly, but you also want to be close to at the money, especially as you initiate, simply because you're going to start to see that intrinsic value reflect in your premium very quickly. The idea being that that's where all of the gamma skew, it's kind of the highest gamma exposure that you can have on the day of expiration or close to it and at the money or near at the money. So those are some things for directional traders. One of the neat advantages, though, of options is that, Carlos, go ahead and drop off the chat mic real quick. I'm getting some feedback. Okay. So one of the best advantages, though, is that because time is decaying so quickly, you actually want to be looking for targeted plays, targeted spreads that take advantage of how quickly time is eroding that premium. And like we've seen throughout most option kind of strategies, some of the best ways to do that is to be a seller of premium, but also to define risk relative to capping off any sort of negative directional play. So selling a call, selling a put puts you sort of in the opposite camp. You're going to be more of a premium seller, but really what you're taking advantage of is most of that time decay is starting to occur on that session. So one thing that I really like to use anytime I'm looking for like a short-term targeted strategy is a butterfly. The way this works, for anyone unfamiliar with how a butterfly is constructed, you're often looking to sell your mid strike. So you would sell, for example, let's say a 390 call. You'd want to grab two of them because you're going to eventually cap off the long and short side of that strategy. And I might not be able to actually buy these just because there's no data. It looks like they're allowing me to. You're buying, in this case, one side of the call strikes, basically capping off a sold call in the middle. And you're also buying back a long, or in this case, let's just call it a 394 call. So what this can do is essentially define a target relative to what you think the market is headed towards. And usually what you want to do is use these strategies. I'm going to construct something a little different here. You want to use this when the market is not trading at those prices. So for example, let's say your market opens on a gap. The gap is, for most intents and purposes, not very important. It's maybe not super well broken out. Maybe the gap itself is not even outside of range. So you're expecting the market at some point to come back to a price level. One of the easiest ones is previous day's close. If you have that thesis, then what you can be doing is selling premium at your target. Essentially selling something like 395 in this case for the SPY. You're going to buy back, let's say, about a $2 wide call and put side premium. And what you'll notice here is this is a very cheap spread to open. One, because it's extrinsic calls, but two, because you're essentially taking this sold premium and capping off the long and short side. You're opening up two verticals, one bullish, or I guess one debit, one credit. It puts all of the premium and the potential of that trade at that strike. But what can happen here, especially on a short-term time frame, is the best butterfly strategy will actually be one that expires at a certain price and you've sold your middle strikes at that price. So in this case, this particular butterfly strategy is a $2 wide butterfly. It has potential to be about $200 at close if you were to exactly get 395. But that's not the intention. The purpose here is that it only costs $25 to open. you open up enough of these, or if you're just risking relative to the amount of debit, that allows you to target a price with the idea that you're looking to close pretty much at the end of the session. And if you're near these prices, the premium will expand based on the fact that time is decaying in the favor of the contracts that you sold. So unfortunately, I needed a little bit more time to kind of go into the minutia. We'll end it here for today. There is jobless claims, so that might be kind of hitting the market at the moment. We're going to shift over to pre-market prep. I'll probably need to cover a little bit more of this next week. So as always, trade safe, stay tuned, like and subscribe. And as always, thank y'all. We'll talk more next week about this.
I hope everyone's having an amazing morning. Hope you guys had a great day yesterday. All right, guys. Give thumbs up for Jared for engineering the markets every single morning. We appreciate that very much. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
Morning, brother. I'm doing all right. I'm
Of course.
not feeling great, man. You must have given me that morning. What was it? Tuesday when you hopped on the mic. You must have passed me the germs.
I need these to be able to hear you this morning. All right. 1 second, Norm.
Good morning, everybody.
All right. Those will definitely help. Good morning, Norm. How you doing today?
I'm a little slow, brother. I think the morning that you hopped on sick, you passed me the germs.
Yes, I did. Right through the wire.
And apparently I was sleepwalking in the night. I'm not sure what I did, but I woke up somewhere I didn't go to sleep. So, excuse me.
That is scary stuff, man.
Yeah.
Sucks. I'm actually feeling much better, and
Good.
I slept yesterday, man. Like it felt like 18 hours, not all together, but like throughout the day, and then last night I slept like 10 hours. It's just amazing. So what sleep can do to you. All right, guys, let's get to it. Our gappers list this morning, we have a bit of stuff in the red, as you can see. SPY is slightly down today, so that's causing some things to slide with it as well. A little bit in the green, not some great tickers. I know Macy's is on here, so we'll look at that. The rest I don't recognize, so we'll dive in and see what those are all about. So let's take a quick look at what happened yesterday. We're not going to spend too much time in it. I think the big one was Target, right? So Target was in play yesterday, and it had earnings. And look how great the pop was on this. Actually ran pretty good. Had a tough gap down, and then market open. It was basically along the entire time. So you got to be careful when these things get extended like this, especially on companies that the chances of going bankrupt are not high, like this one here. They tend to do that, kind of have an overreaction, or at least bounce back a little bit. So that was Target. DWAC continues to sell off. I mean, it had a wild day the day before yesterday. seeing a lot of weakness, and it's trading very well. The issue with this is, you got to watch your share size because the pullbacks are very aggressive. So you just got to be careful with that part of it. Aside from that, it's moving very well the last couple of days when it has volume, which is I didn't see the entire price action, but you see in some cases here the volume drops off. This is where you want to be a little more cautious. We'll take a look at Tesla as well. Again, a lot of activity in Tesla today. Great volume, down another 2%, continues to slide here. We had our usual suspect, Apple, which didn't do a whole lot. NVIDIA as well had a drop early in pre-market with news of MU. Today they're dropping some more, 1.3. We'll take a look at that. I'm sure that's going to be in play. And AMD as well, seeing some weakness after the overall catalyst there for the semiconductor. So that stuff is going to be in play for a while, I think. Even now you're seeing, example, AMD trading very well with some good volume. Norm, let's take it to the market post. What do we have going on as far as overall market data?
We had a bunch of data drop right there at the bottom of the hour. Initial jobless claims, continuing claims coming in largely as expected, really. Building permits, housing starts. Didn't see anything crazy there. Philly Fed manufacturing as well. I think that came in a little bit weaker than expected, but nothing that's done a whole lot. Gave the market a few moves and now kind of to the upside, turning the other way. We've got Fed speakers sprinkled throughout the day. I think some of this optimism of the recent rally is coming to an end. Some of the retail sales info work that is rolling in with their earnings is quite concerning. So let's see how the day goes. I have a feeling that we're going to start turning. I just don't know how bad it's going to get.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, guys, let's get started here. Let's see what we got going on our list. I'm going to remove everything from yesterday. There's a few that are going to pop right back on here. Control X. I'm going to add them now to save a little bit of time. We'll do NVIDIA. That's going to be on deck today. You can see already. Let's get the daily going. Already looking very good as far as daily. Great activity in action. How about TSM? These guys are still moving. We go to TSM. Yeah, TSM.
NVIDIA had earnings last night.
Oh, was it last night? Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was going to be one of my calls. It's not on the gappers list. It may be at some point, but it's not technically gapping more than 2%. It's got decent volume at 1.4 million shares traded so far. I've got my eye on it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. NVIDIA on deck, guys, looking really good. Down 1.3, 1.4 at the moment. All right, let's take a look here at. We're also going to be looking at Apple. So I'm just going to add the stuff we had here. I'm going to add Apple as well. All right, let's look at the gap up list. Some of these tickers I am not recognizing at the moment, but we'll start here with GLBL. And let's see what's going on there. GLBL. And if we look at this, this is straight garbage, guys. I mean, it's
a SPAC. That's a garbage.
Okay. It's the move. Was this market hours? Not sure, but this is crazy. Yeah. So nothing to see there, guys. That's gambling. BBWI. This gap is gapping up 20%. Did it last night. I'm not sure if it was earnings or what.
Yeah, this is Bath and Body Works at earnings last night. That I don't know. This doesn't usually trade very well. Today might be the exception. Pre-market's not showing it. It is nicey. Maybe it gets something toward the open, but
yeah. On a regular day, I probably will add this to my secondary, but we have so many other tickers that are going to be in play today. That I'll keep this to the side for now. Here is Macy's. Macy's right now up 6.5, 1.4 million shares traded. They had earnings. Was it this morning? Yeah, earnings this morning.
Earnings this morning. The retail's kind of been every which direction. So
yeah, they're up 6.2. I'm concerned that they're going to trade horrible either way. I think they're going to be very choppy coming into the market open. I'll put them as a possible. We'll come back and see how their pre-market activity is going to be. Pre-market, you're not going to get like an AMD, NVIDIA type of activity. Still a nicey ticker. Yes, you're getting great volume, but the pre-market activity is usually not great. So this right here is actually, for Macy's, this is amazing, right? But not typically what we are used to seeing like other tickers. CSCO, so this is Cisco. They are down, up 3.4. Another one that doesn't trade very well. It looks like earnings last night.
Yeah, they had earnings last night.
Yep. So
Today might be their day, though.
yeah, once in a while they do some stuff, so we'll put them on our secondary list there. And then last on our gap up list is going to be DLO, and DLO this morning, huge drop yesterday, guys, going from
It's not
21
every
to
day we
11.
get a Uruguayan payments ticker on our list. I don't remember in the almost 4 years we've been doing this to ever have a company from Uruguay
Yeah,
in here.
yeah,
Yeah, they're getting hit by a short seller's report yesterday. Muddy waters came out against them, so called them a possible fraud, as Cole just mentioned in the chat. This can be a tough catalyst to trade
yeah,
at times, so just
yeah.
watch out for that. It's in play, but I don't know that I want to mess with that.
Yeah. I'll love to see what happens at the open. I'm going to put as a password here. But again, I think we'll have better tickers to trade on our main list for sure. See what's gapping down today. Leading the way is SI with 10 down 10% this morning. Nasty pre-market activity, though. Not looking great. The daily does look interesting, right? You're seeing a bit of a drop here, trying to hold on to the support at 27.80-ish, looks like. So that might be good. They've seen some increase in volume in the last couple of days, which is, putting them on our radar. Did not have them on my list yesterday, but they had a nice little pop here. So I don't know. I'm a hit or miss on this one. Possible. We'll come back to it. ORA this morning. No, this is no good. It's no volume. The spread is not great. I mean, it can get better pre-market. It is a nicey stock, but this not even sure what this is. Ormat Technologies. So yeah, not looking good. Heading down over to NCLH, we know CCL and NCLH been making a little bit of noise the last couple of days. NCLH down 7%, was 572. No, do we have any news on this?
Well, they got
Or
a
just
downgrade
overall?
this morning.
Okay. So downgrade for NCLH. CCL seeing some of that. They had their nice drop yesterday, and today they got great volume and dropping some more. I know we're talking about how they actually traded. Oh man, they were brutal. This was brutal trading activity yesterday. So really nothing going on there. Under $10, going that's 6 cents. That's like a 6 cents range at one point. So again, that's not fun. I think, and these have lost a lot of the good trading they had is behind them at this point. So NCLH guys, great volume right now. I just don't know how well it's going to trade the market open. So I'll keep it off my list for now. Let's look at DWAC. DWAC here again. Last 2 days not doing so hot. This morning, not a whole lot of volume, and it's just getting back to its normal trading range. So unless news comes out, I don't see this being as explosive as it has been the last 2 days and the first 2 days when this thing came out here, right? So I just don't see it. They might just go back to their regular trading activity unless something else comes out on this. So that's just my take on it. And the one thing is, they're so wild, guys. If you see this here, the pullbacks are aggressive. They're moving between $2 easily. So you got to be very, very careful with the number of shares you take on this thing. So let's go to coin. I'm not going to add it to my list today. Let's go to coin. Coin is down 4.5. Could be interesting. Add coin. So let's. I'm not a fan of Unity software. I think they don't trade all that well at times. They had a nice little run here. We've been talking about that last week into this week, but for the most part, not the best ticker for intraday trading. A firm pretty quiet right now. Not much going on. GFI, we've seen this before. Doesn't trade very well. Yeah, we'll stop here, guys. Let's stop here. Edit taking the lead here, down now.
You got a few
16%.
more in here. I would hit
Yep.
Cole's KSS.
Oh, Coast is here? I didn't even see it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Coast under Snap. Coast, what's going on with these guys? They usually have something going on when they're in this list. Earnings. Yeah, Coast could do good with earnings, actually. We traded Coast plenty of times when it has earnings. Don't get too hung up on the volume, guys. It's a nicey stock. Don't get the volume at the market open. Any other ones that you see that are good here? Well, I see Baba, I see Meta.
Yeah, Baba had earnings.
Oh, let's look at Meta is coming down here 2.2.
Meta.
Sorry, Meta. Yes, so Meta is here. This could be a interesting one.
Hope Andrew got rid of his swing on that.
Was he swinging it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he did get out of it around 118.
Yeah. Okay, good. Here is Baba. Baba could be interesting today, especially with earnings. Down 2.4, great volume 2.6. Not the best pre-market price action in itself, but this could be a good one. All right, and then we have a Tesla. How can we not do Tesla here, guys? So Tesla is just continues to drop here. Look at this daily. Looks like it wants to head back and test 177, the most recent lows there. Just has not been found. Down 2.2, 1.4 million shares traded. Definitely in play. So Tesla added to that list. Norm, anything you like that's not on this list?
I mean, I've already thrown them out. The ones that happen to be on the list, NVIDIA after earnings yesterday,
Mhm.
and the usual suspects, and Amazon too. So good to go.
Yeah,
Good point.
Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's another one that can be good. One of our usual suspects here. All right, let's take it to the chat room, guys. Let me bring up our YouTube chat as well. Hopefully you guys are doing well over on YouTube. What do you guys like this morning that we have not looked at already? What's on your list for today? Let's see here. Baba looks good today. Yeah, it does. Pre-market action, not so much. We've seen better, but it does look good. They got the volume. The daily is interesting as well. As we look at Baba here. So you got a nice daily. You had a nice gap up here that we're looking to lose and kind of fill this gap, close this gap. So let's see. Today will be interesting. And then the SPY is moving quite a bit today as well. So that's gonna help. Okay. Let's see here. Baba looks good. What else, guys? Amazon already on the list. Yeah, I do remember when Amazon was untradeable. Isaac, yeah, it was just not something you could trade. It
It
was
was
horrible.
tradable, but
Yeah. Let's go to this here. Here we go. Yeah. So now is it's a so one of our usual suspects.
just ask
You know.
Peter. He traded 5 shares of Amazon at one point and partialed each one. It was tradable.
Yeah,
It was
that's
just a
true.
high price ticker.
That's it's a mortgage ticker. That's what it was. Um, So yeah, all right, we have Jeremiah's are giving us a few there. I'm gonna take Oxy. Let's take a look at what Oxy's doing today. Not a whole lot right now. Very light volume, but doesn't mean much for these guys. You gotta wait for the market open. But yeah, coming back a little bit there. I see they're losing some areas of support. So that could be interesting heading back towards that 68, right? And then the rest, it looks like you're looking just for that's an oil play you have going on there. CVX, BP, and VLO, the whole gang. So these guys are all down today slightly. So out of all those, Oxy's it's the better one that I like to trade. So we'll put Oxy on the list. See what happens there. Over on our chat members, Oxy is good. Oh, we got Oxy from Melbourne as well. Thank you. And okay, no more tickers. You guys, I think everything's on here, right? Everything we have talked about is on this list. Neo, I don't know. Neo has let's see what it's doing. So it hasn't been great. Uh, Today they got the volume down, down
Trash recently.
2%, 1.7. Yeah, they have not. Oh, look at yesterday. Again, I haven't been watching closely what's going on, but yesterday had a drop. But we have fun here, man. I had a lot of fun here, even some of these days. But now once it starts this sideways action at a low price, it's not great. TSM is still in play, Jose. Yes, I think TSM is still in play. I think it is going to be in play, especially because you had this nice gap up, right? Right over here. There we go. You had this TSM there. You had this nice gap up. There's negative news coming out from MU that affects semiconductors. So yeah, I think it's going to be in play, and so it's going to be these other semiconductors. AMD. Do I have AMD on the list? I do not. I should. AMD should be on the list.
Peter's gonna be mad at you.
Who is mad at me?
Peter.
Oh yeah, he's,
No
he's about
AMD.
to, how can you not have AMD when it's moving the way it is this morning, guys? I mean, down 2.2, 751,000. So, but Jose, out of all these semiconductors, I like Nvidia. Obviously, Nvidia has earnings today as well, so something on top of that, and AMD are my choice on those two. Anthony Baba, yeah, I do have Baba here. It's in play today. Earnings last night, right? Last night or no? This
No,
morning.
this morning. It's
This morning.
overnight, technically. It's Chinese.
Yeah.
You got to remember they release at a weird hour overnight.
Yeah. RDX FDA drug approval. No, man. These penny stocks, yes, this is a no for
No
me.
penny stocks, and for
Yeah.
something that has FDA approval or yeah, that's not good chart for that.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah, this gap up, and I'd rather see it just kind of slowly grind higher with volume. That's much better than gapping up here and then kind of trending down here. That's not good, and I don't like the price. It's a lot about this I don't like. So just be careful, Jack, if you're going to be trading that one. All right, last one. Then we head over to company events and announcement, community events and announcement. Here is Shopify. Light volume down 3.5. I think moving with the overall market. I don't think they have their own thing going on. Not that I'm aware of. So yeah, I don't think it's really in play. It's just kind of moving with the overall market. You can tell by the volume it's a little bit lighter than usual. Trades better than it was trading when it was like at 100 plus. But still not the best intraday trading ticker, but much better now. The spread is not as bad as it was when it was a higher price. Okay, excellent. Well, it's not technically, it's not a penny stock, right? Yeah, penny stock is like under $1. Never
Penny
mind.
stock just means
It is.
cheap stock. Like
It is. Yeah,
around that, under
Yeah.
$5, you can call it a penny stock, and you're good.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this thing, yeah, no, man. Be very, very, very careful. And these FDA approvals, I mean, I don't know. In phase one, they could be those catalysts could be so overreacted at times. All right, guys, let's get to our community events announcements. See what's going on here.
Let me clarify on that, though.
Yeah.
If you do want to trade something that's in that range with that kind of catalyst, it needs to have a lot better price action than just chopping around and dropping. These are tradable at points. This is not one of them. That's horrific chop for a $2 ticker. So
yeah. And don't get us wrong, guys. It can get better. If it starts hitting high of the day and it starts, doing these ABCD patterns, it can get better. But right now,
very unlikely with that current pattern going on.
Yeah, but this right now, this looks horrible. Looks like it's going to come back down to $1.30, right? So you don't want to be involved in that. All right, let's head over here. Community events announcement over to webinar.
All right. Anytime you want to see what's going on at Bearable Traders within the next couple of weeks, go to bearabletraders.com/webinars or go to the homepage or any part of the website, click webinars at the nav bar at the top of the screen. Every Monday night, not including next Monday night, is Onboarding and Technology with Carlos, 8 p.m. Eastern, especially if you're new, check that out. Tuesdays, we focus on strategy. There are no webinars next week, guys. It's Thanksgiving. We're all taking off for Thanksgiving. So, but the Tuesday following Thanksgiving is Andrew talking about coming to my trading room. That's a 30,000-foot view of his trading, everything from his setup to what he looks for to how he got started, everything else. And the following week is Carlos talking about developing an educational plan. Wednesdays, psychology. The Wednesday after Thanksgiving, staying disciplined while taking losses, very important, by Randy Howell. And then Dr. Kenneth Reed the following week talking about handling pressure. Thursdays is for mentorship. So today we've got John at 11 and Thor at 8. Tradingterminal.com. It is our one-stop shop for all your trading information, everything from earnings calendar to fundamentals, news, scanners, the squawk, and of course the simulator. You can either go there or stocktradingsimulator.com to get there directly and trade our free web-based replay simulator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't been in the room, you'd like to give it a shot, you can go to the homepage that Carlos is doing right there. Click that intro. It'll give you 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It does not recur. It's a one-time payment. And give it a shot. And Black Friday, 60% off, our biggest sale of the year. I do want to mention, if you are an elite annual member currently, and let's say you don't expire until March, but you want to get a discount, you can take part in this deal now, and it'll add an additional year at the end of your subscription. So if you expire March 1st, let's say 2023, and you go do this, it'll automatically apply it, and you'll be good through March 1st, 2024.
All right. Thank you, Norm, for that.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, let's get to it. Our list right now: NVIDIA, good volume, 1.6. Apple, 818,000 calls on earnings. When was this? Last night? This morning? It's like this morning. Yeah, this morning. Pre-market there. And so that's looking okay, not great. Nicely stock. We'll hopefully get the volume at the market open. We have Meta here dropping as well. We have Babo, 2.7 million. Not doing a whole lot right now, but this will be a fun one to watch today. Tesla continues to dive here, down 2.3, 1.5. So again, just not having a good time at all. And then AMD dropping here. NVIDIA also has a very similar drop this morning as well. So does TSM. I know NVIDIA has earnings, but obviously there's some news here that is causing some issues for these semiconductors. DKNG caught my attention there. Let's just hit the gappers list or are moving here. What's going on? No volume. They just got over 100,000. That's what they popped up here, but they're not doing anything at the moment.
It's actually been sitting there for a bit.
Yeah.
It was sitting there when we went through the gappers originally.
Mm-hmm.
And it still hasn't done more than 13,000 shares in the last 10 minutes since we been in that.
Yeah, no, it's not doing anything at all there. All right, guys, let's take a look at this list. Let's go ahead and do some levels. I like the list today. I mean, it's made up of our usual suspects, really. And the only thing here that has kind of big catalysts, obviously, NVIDIA, Coase, Baba, and the rest are just overall market stuff, right? So let's see what's going on as far as levels. Looking at NVIDIA today, guys, again, this is one of our favorites, has a catalyst, has negative news with the semiconductors, just a lot going on that can make this a great trader today. So here, low of the pre-market is just being set right now. I am still going to mark this 157 there, 156.80. The reason for that, you had a nice little drop there. You're down about 1.5, and you can see there you found a little bit of support in that area. So I definitely want to mark that down. Below this, pre-market low is going to continue. So we'll give that a little bit of time to settle in. I am going to mark down this daily right over here. 154 is the next area of support that I see in the most recent activity on the daily. And if we go back here, is that being supported? Oh, it's definitely being supported by many candles here. If you see that 154, tons of days opening, closing, especially in this range here in between in July and August, you see some of that there. And if we go to the right, we see some more of that as well here. So yeah, that's good. You want to leave that 154. Let's see where the pre-market low is going to take us here. We might actually go to 156 or lower. Let's see. Towards the top, guys, do not need to add anything. You're pretty good up here, guys. Highs and lows for the last 2 trading days, and you got your previous day close there. So that is looking well. Do not need to add anything. We do have towards the bottom. Clearly, this is going to be an area 148.06. Below that, I mean, I don't think we're going to be getting here. Something has to go terribly wrong. Somebody needs to be fired if that happens. 141.09. But we got some pretty decent levels here on the daily. You can see these are major levels. We had a lot of touches around here, plenty of times. So these are your big high levels here if this thing does decide to drop. So we'll see what NVIDIA does, guys. Again, pre-market activity is looking amazing. Let's just hope we don't get chopped, right? We've seen a little bit of chop in the last 2 trading days. Only several tickers running very well. The last 2 days, I haven't traded the last 2 days, but I've seen what you guys are doing and some of the struggles that are happening with the last 2 days. So hopefully we can get some momentum plays today. Here is Apple down 2%. Again, one of our usual suspects. We're going to mark down this. Let's do the low of the pre-market now, 145.81. And that is being supported slightly by some of the days on here, opening and closing. The big level we have here is this 142, might be 143. You had a nice area of tons of resistance there, a little bit of support, but a lot of resistance over at that round 143 area. This is a minor support resistance here. We're going to do 144. It might be 145, but you got a little bit of action happening there. Not a whole lot. But worth noting just in case we have a midpoint if this thing does want to drop. Towards the top, guys, do not need to add anything. I mean, you are pretty set there as far as highs and lows for the last 2 trading days. Let's take a look at Coase. This is a hit or miss for me. Depending how things go, I might move this one down. We'll see, just to make my gappers list 6 here. Just one too many at the moment. Low of the pre-market on coast is 28 on the dot, so we'll slam a level there. Then towards the top, you're pretty much close to the high of yesterday's action. So slightly below that 30.27. 30.30 actually, so 30.30 there, high of the pre-market. Tons of levels in between here, highs and lows. You got the previous day close as well in this area. If we're to go below the 28, right, the low of the pre-market, and this daily is wild. This is out of control, and this happens when you have this type of volume. Just you have no volume on this thing. But if we were to pick a level, it's going to be this one here. 27 clearly, opening, closing, just slamming on that level there. This day just stayed at that level. It just went up, says I'm going to go up, going to go down, I'm going to come back to 27 and just hang here. So yeah, so it's not the best daily, but today, given their catalyst, we can see some movement out of this thing. Here is Meta. So Meta daily looks amazing, guys. You had a nice little run here, which is not bad compared to where they were. They gapped down to what we're hanging out at 99, drop even lower, which I couldn't believe they were dropping to 90. Right? Did we actually hit? Yeah, we actually hit like 88 or something. And then we managed the last couple of 2 weeks to kind of bounce back and hit 105, right? Midpoint of this gap down. So that's a nice run. Expect some profit taking, maybe some downside action after running this nice for the last couple of days. But today their volume 478, down slightly. I think it'll be a good one for to keep on the list here. We have 110, low of the pre-market 110.01, so level there, and then towards the bottom we're seeing one level over here, and obviously here as well, right around 98. I don't think we'll get there today, but yeah, definitely looking good as far as the daily, and towards the top, and no issues there. You got your level set. Here is BABA. So BABA right now, look at this level here. I know the pre-market low is down here. We can mark that. We'll mark 75, but I mean, clearly the action, the party's over here, 75. 97. This is where the party's at, right? You see the bounces you're getting constantly above that, and the few times we dip below that, we're not closing below 75, 97. We might now actually. Let's see. But every time we get below that, we find a way to just kind of push higher. So nice level. But also take a look at the pressure, the downwards pressure, this pre-market activity. Every candle on the high end lower than before, right at peak. So interesting there. I like BABA when you have this type of volume, 2.7 million shares traded. Obviously, their big catalyst today is earnings. Let's see. BABA can trade very well, as we see in the past. Level here at a 71.80, and then another one at around 73.85 towards the top. Plenty of stuff there for you. So don't make this more congested than what it needs to be, right? So here's BABA, guys, looking good. Definitely like what I'm seeing there. So one of the top ones I'll be looking at today. Tesla this morning continues to slide here down 2.2. Low of the pre-market is going to be 182.52. And we also have this little guy right over here at 180.33. So we'll slam a level there as well. And if you look at the big picture, you are set, guys. Levels everywhere. Towards the top, let's do the high of the pre-market. This would be 189.18. So we'll slam that there as well. So yeah, looking good as far as levels for Tesla. Very active this morning. So looking forward to that one. AMD, man, look at AMD just tanking here, guys. So down 3% at the moment. We'll mark low the pre-market now here at 70. Let's get some daily levels from the left. So here we have 68.36. And then we obviously have the big area, which just kind of went sideways for almost a month. We just did nothing on IMD here. You had two ranges, right? If you guys remember, the 62.39, and then you kind of had this one up here, and then this one down here, right? So you had bring that back. You had this range here, you had this range here, and this was not fun for AMD. It's not much going on. Finally breaks out, and now we're not getting not so good news. Pulling it down there a little bit. So that's AMD for you guys. Looking really nice here. Pre-market action volume 942,000. For AMD at this time, that is actually very good. Yeah, everything looks nice on this one. Let's take a look at some of our possibles we have on here. We have Oxy, which again can do a whole lot right now. Coin sliding as well. Look at the daily on Coin, looking very good for a retest of 40